Hey guys, it's CovertCode here, and in today's video I'm going to be teaching you how you could make a cool loading screen. So the first thing we need to do is actually design the loading screen. So what I'm thinking is we'll have like a little loading bar over here like this, and it'll fill up slowly according to the percentage loaded, and then we'll have like a game logo or something up here. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is create a screen GUI inside of starter GUI. Okay, click reset on spawn and disable it. That's quite important. Okay, and call this loading. Now let's create a frame 1010. Basically we just adjusted the size to fit the entire screen. Okay, and we'll make it blue. Yeah, so you can make this whatever color you guys want, obviously. Now call this background. So let's create our loading bar, creating another frame inside of the background and put the size at 0.10, 0.10, adding commas in between. Drag this to about this size. That's pretty good, I'd say. Now I'm really liking the color scheme here, so I'm gonna stick with white and blue. So let me just make that 2, and I just need to find the ideal color, I guess, for the border here. I mean, black is a bit too bold, so I'm guessing I should probably go with blue, but like a darker version of blue, so you get something like this. But now I'm thinking of changing the white to something else like that. So basically this will be the background for the loading bar. Okay, so I call this bar. Okay, copy and paste inside of the bar. Okay, set the size to 10.50 and change the position to 0.000. Okay, my bad, I forgot. I accidentally switched the size here, so it should be 0.5010. And let's change the color of this to orange. Something like that, I think, is fine. So now you've got the orange here, you've got the background, and basically what we're going to do with this orange thing, this orange bar here, is it'll start from here. Okay, and then as it loads, like as your game loads, it'll fill up gradually until loading completes, and the loading GUI will disappear. Okay, so call this filler and set the size to 0 and 1. Okay, now I think we should probably have a percentage number, so like a text saying it's at like 0%. So put the number at 1010, parent this inside of bar. Okay, and default the position to 0. Now background transparency, put that at 1. Text scaled. Okay, and put this at white. I mean, this could be any color scheme you guys want. I'm just designing this to make sure it looks decent. Okay, so put the font at Source Sans bold, that works, and put this at 0%. So now you have a number. So if it's at like, actually, 1 second, put this at like 0.6. Now you've got a number with a border here, which says how close your game is done to being completed. Okay, so basically this will fill up. Okay, your number will keep increasing. So currently this would be like at around 50%, and it'll keep going up till about 100%, and then the GUI will disappear. Okay, let me just undo that. Now the final thing we need to do after I name this to % is copy this text and paste it inside of background. Okay, now this here, let me just adjust the size here, is gonna be whatever your game is called. So let's say I don't know, coolest game, something like this. Center it right there, change the font to something a bit more grandiose. Seems cool, I guess. Drag it out a bit more, center it, and there we go. So now this is the basis for a good smooth loading bar. Okay, Call this title of the game. Now we need to make this look good. So the first thing we're gonna do is create a gradient inside of the background. Rename this to gradient. Click on these 3 dots here. Click on this arrow, triangle, and drag this down slowly. Don't make it too dark because that would make it a bit dull, but something like that seems fine. Rotate it by 90 degrees, and now you've got a sort of changing sort of color scheme here. Gray color is kind of bothering me, so I'm gonna go with something a bit nicer. Not sure what exactly. That's a bit much, I think. So just find the ideal color scheme for you guys. It's really up to you. Something like that. Seems fine. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so now we've got a gradient inside of the background. We're gonna put a gradient inside of our filler object here. If I can actually manage to drag that out. Copy, paste. Now we're gonna want to reset this to 0 and change the color here. Delete this, click on that and delete. Change the color scheme to something like that. Yeah, and just make this 180. Now what I'm gonna change about this, because it's a bit annoying, is I just want this white bit to like be elongated a bit more, so something like this will work. Yeah, it's up to you guys. I'm just messing around right now, so there you go. Now you've got, it's not bad. Could be improved, obviously. Making the title text a bit better, like 1010 000. In the, move this by 3 offset, 3 offset again. Make this 1, and make that something like that. Yeah. And just make this global, okay? And now we're gonna move this gray text behind, so like this is a stroke, okay? So like a shadow or something, yeah. And then just move it behind our text, okay? So it's gonna be -1. Just change the, oh, not my bad, not layout order, Z index, -1, okay? Ooh, and this should be -2. And now you've got a sort of more developed, sort of nicer looking menu. So it's important that you remember that this is the first thing the players will see. So if you don't have a good looking loading screen, then players are more likely to click off your game and you will get less players. So it's important that you make this look the best it can. Now we're gonna create a script inside of the loading inside of the loading screen GUI. So local script, call this client. Now the first thing we're gonna do is define a few things. So local GUI equals script.parent. So the GUI is the script.parent. So it's this GUI here. Okay. Now the background is local background equals GUI wait for child background. So GUI dot background. Okay. GUI dot background. That's the background. Now we need to identify this filler and percent text here. So local bar equals background wait for child bar. So background dot bar. Okay. And now local filler equals bar wait for child filler, and local percentage equals bar wait for child percent. Okay. So that's pretty much everything we need defined. Okay, we've defined the percent and the filler, which we're gonna reset to 0 here. There we go. Now let's actually start changing the behavior here. So we want this to wait just a few seconds, like 1 or 2 seconds maybe. So like wait 2 seconds, okay? So as soon as someone joins in, it's gonna wait 2 seconds before actually starting to load. So that makes it look more professional, and they'll actually get a chance to see it because they might be looking away, or their GUI might have not loaded yet. So just wait 2 seconds, okay? So for I is equal to 0 to, let's say, 25, actually 34 do. So what we're gonna do here is count from 0 to 34, and in between we're gonna wait 0.08 seconds might be fine, yeah? And throughout this process we're gonna change the percentage text. Remember, this is the percentage text. We're gonna change the text property here to whatever I is. Now remember, I is going to be counting up from 0 to 34. Okay, so if you don't know how to use for loops, I have a video on for loops, you should check those out. Okay, so go to this here, and it's gonna be I continuation, okay, percent. So think of the 0 here as I. It's gonna move up and down accordingly, so it's gonna go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And the percentage will stay the same. Okay, so I just forgot one thing. Percentage.text, because we're modifying the text property here. Okay, so now if we click play, it's gonna go from 0 to 34. Okay, there you go, it's going up, and it's reached 34. Now you might have noticed that the actual filler object here, like the bar, isn't going up with the number, and that is what we're gonna fix and to actually do now. So filler tween size udem2.new. I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing here in a second. So just a quick thing, local formula equals 100 division by I. I'm gonna explain it in a second, guys. So formula 0, 1, 0 using direction dot out, and then dot using style dot linear and true. So basically, what we're going to do after we change the text property for the percentage text, we are going to tween the size. So what that means is, you see what I'm doing now? I'm going to tween it from here to here. So I'm expanding the size, but I'm not just I'm not setting the size like this. Look, I'm not doing this and it's instantly half the size of the bar. No, I'm gradually moving it until it reaches the desired size. Okay, so that's what tween size does. We're going to move it. So basically there's a formula in mathematics. This is the maximum my bad. This is the maximum amount, 100%. That's the maximum you can get. So it's from 1 to 100, okay? The biggest number we can ever achieve. And this here is the current number. So if we print 34, or 30, yeah, why not? Division by 100, that's gonna give us 0.34. Okay, if we multiply 0.34 times 100, that's going to give you 34%. So what we're going to do is I divided by 100, okay? So this will give us the percentage, which is then going to be used to dictate the size here. So as you can see, the X property is increasing the higher up we go. Okay, so this is what we're determining using that formula. Now these are just properties here, which I'm going to show you on the screen now. For this is the easing direction and this is the easing style. There's a ton of styles you can use, so just go check them out. They're pretty easy to use, really. Ooh, my bad. Why is there a bracket there? There we go. So this is going to tween the size. Okay, now as you can see, the actual bar is going to go up accordingly, as you can see. Okay, Now, what we're going to do is, tell you what, we could just change this to 100, okay, and initiate a few stops along the way. So if it reaches 34, it's gonna wait a few seconds. If it's gonna reach 28 or something, whatever, you'll see. It's gonna be pretty cool. So if I is equal to 34, then wait 2 seconds. Else if I is equal to, I'll explain what I'm doing here. Then wait 2 seconds. Else if I is equal to 88, then wait 2 seconds. So whenever so the percentage loaded reaches each of these numbers, it's gonna wait 2 seconds. Okay, we could obviously just do or I is equal to 67 or I is equal to 88. Same thing, just cleaner, I guess. So now if we click play, I is going to go up. It's gonna wait. It's gonna go. Something's wrong here because the numbers aren't actually matching up. So this is at a 100, as you can see, but you know it's not working out. So 0.1. So I forgot to add the time here, how long that tween is going to be. Okay, so now if we click play, it should be way more responsive. Yep. Going up, stop, going up to 88, stop, going up to 100, there you go. Now, that's done loading, okay? So one thing that is bothering me is that you can still see your chat and the player list here. So what we're going to do is we're gonna hide those objects. So we need to set core enable, okay? So what that's gonna do, give me a second here. So game.starter.gui set core GUI enabled, enum.core GUI false. So we're going to the starter GUI here and we're setting all of the core GUIs to false, which means we're basically just making them invisible, okay? And after this is done, we want to make them visible again. Okay, so now if we click play, bit too late. What I am going to do is I'm going to move this up to replicated first, so I'll explain why in a second. So mover script dot loading not parent game dot players dot player GUI dot for child player. Oh, my bad. Local player dot players UI. So replicated first is basically this service, okay? Basically everything inside of replicated first will run before anything else in your game. If you have a gun script, this here in like anything inside of replicated first will run before your gun script. Anything in here will be the first thing to run on the client. Okay, so let's see if this works. Hopefully as soon as this disappears, yeah. So now as you can see, it does that. The only side effect is that we have to wait just a bit longer here. So 4 seconds, yeah. So now if we click play, it's gonna load. And now as you can see, your game is loading, okay? It's going up. And hopefully whenever it reaches 100%, the GUIs will pop back up, and I'll show you the next step. So as you can see, GUIs pop back up. Script destroy, so whenever the mover is done, so whenever this script here moves this inside of the player's GUI system, it will be removed, pretty much. So once the loading is done, well, we need to remove the GUI. So what I'm going to do, what I'm going to propose is, let me just drag this back in here so we can see it. We're going to make a fade animation. So, why did I type in fade? We need the frame, okay? Again, this should probably be, let me just extend this just a bit back, because of this reason here. If we click play, you can see that there's just this bit of a gap here. If it loads up, there's a gap where you can see the world, so I'm just gonna move the loading screen just slightly upwards. Okay, so move this up, change the size to 1.5. Again, move this up, something like that. It's not that important what I'm doing now, it's just, you know, eye for detail and all. Okay, the bar is just going to be moved up here, and this is just going to be moved like that. Pretty much the same. Bam. That's all we did. Okay, so this is going to be our fade effect. So size is going to take up the entire GUI, making it size 1010. Positioning 0000. Make it black. Okay. Change this name to fade, and make its background transparency 1. Move the loading GUI back inside the mover, and open the client script inside of the loading GUI. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna make a tween object. So local tween equals tween service. So game.tween service create GUI.fade tween info not new. I'm gonna explain what I'm doing here. We're gonna take like 1.5 seconds to do this using style. Yep, same thing as these stuff up here. Linear and blazing direction dot out. It gets pretty repetitive after a while. Close that up, just like that. And we are going to be interested in modifying the background transparency. Background transparency is equal to 0. Tween play tween.completed wait. So tween service is basically similar to tween size, except this applies to every game object in the game. Okay, this only applies to GUIs. This does not. Okay, so we're creating a new tween, applying it to GUI.fade. So GUI.fade, this is the object we're going to be affecting, and we're just entering tween information. So same stuff is up here. You know, the time it takes, easing style, easing direction, pretty simple stuff. Okay, so, and this is the stuff that we want to end up with. So currently our background transparency is 1, and we want to end up with a background transparency of 0. Okay, so that's all that does. Then we're just playing the animation, so it actually, you know, runs, and then we're waiting until it completes. Copy this, paste that, and now we want it to go back to 1. Okay, and then we're ready. After this, just wait a second. Let's just change this to 5 for some reason. Just wait a second and GUI destroy. So after the loading is done, you can destroy your GUI, you can get rid of it, you don't want it laying around, it will use up your resources, blah blah blah, you know, just destroy it, okay? So now if you click play, everything should work wonderfully. Except it did not, because, okay, it's going up. Yep. Okay, and 88, 100, there you go. So you could obviously opt to make this faster. Oh, my bad, guys. I forgot to wait a couple seconds here, like 2 seconds. Second thing I want to do is I want to move this inside of the mover script, because the mover script will work before the script inside of here, okay? So there you go. Play. Everything should be fine. It's going up. Stops at 34. Goes up to, yep, up to 88. And then all the way up to 100. There you go. Fade out. Fade in. But this is not destroyed, my bad. That's the problem. This is why this stuff takes a while. GUI.background.visible equals false. And now we're just testing it again, just to make sure it's just right for you guys. Come on now. There you go. And as you can see, the chat doesn't fade in and out like it did before. I think this should be faster, and I'm just going to modify that, but I'm not going to test it. Now it's going to fade out. It's going to fade in to your character, and the script is going to destroy the GUI. So that's how you make a loading GUI. You could obviously opt to make this faster by reducing this timer right here. And obviously this wait time. So that make that 1 second. Now it's way faster. Okay, so that is how you make a loading GUI, a loading screen. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you liked the video. Leave suggestions down in the comment section below to help me identify what videos to make. And I'll see you guys in the next video.